I've been telling you for a while now how like fucked up the Twitch platform is. It's got a lot wrong with it. There's a lot rotten at its core culturally, but also as well just in terms of the way the company changed. Now, I've said this before. I was one of the original journalists that broke the story back when Google were trying to buy them, and it was the, they got shut down on antitrust laws, and then Amazon came in and picked them up, and that was deemed to not be such a conflict, because I think the original plan was Alphabet wanted to buy Twitch and then eventually integrate that with YouTube and make Twitch the live stream component. I remember when it first got bought, everybody was talking about the incredible untapped potential of Twitch. Now, I've been around Twitch for a while. You know, I was there when it used to be Justin TV. I watched when they had the great battle with Owned with a 3 in the name, Owned TV, and Owned were massively overpaying the League of Legends streamers that were coming through in kind of that, like, golden age after StarCraft 2 and the arrival of Twitch and YouTube really turbocharged esports. They were talking about, you watch a fucking, your favorite streamer, the noise of his keyboard comes up, it tells you what the keyboard he's got, and you can go and buy it through, potentially with even a referral link with just 2 clicks. It was going to have full like Fire integration. There was all these like videos of what it was going to do, and it looked like Google Glass and all this other shit that was being talked about internally. And in the end, none of that ever happened. In fact, what we quickly realized, and what I quickly realized and other industry people quickly realized, and the community didn't, was that YouTube live streaming had better tech. And actually, a YouTube stream was generally a better thing for like tournaments, especially like competitions. Generally a better thing to watch than Twitch itself, which had a bunch of problems. But of course, the kids they only want to do what they know. And but doesn't have PogChamp in the chat slightly different. And so people, when the first big deals started coming in from like, Facebook, which it was trash, but they were paying money, and YouTube, people rejected every alternative fucking streamer. And meanwhile, Twitch, that should have been the license to win the war. But instead, they spunked $90 million fucking dollars on the Overwatch League for exclusivity of that. Got rid of the person that made that deal and then said, yeah, we're really massively overpaying for these esports leagues. Let's scale that back. But anyway, in terms of untapped potential, you'll never see anything like what Amazon's done with Twitch. It's actually crazy. Like, Twitch was the largest live stream platform by a million miles. It had all the, big names, best talent. It was being really innovative once they let you be innovative. Because remember, it was gaming only back in the past. You weren't just allowed to talk to people, as stupid as that sounds. They had to play Hearthstone if they wanted to talk to their audience. Hearthstone used to be the just chatting section. That was the joke. It was the flagship of just chatting. But anyway, they opened all of that up. They were killing the game, but they had this tech deficit. Problems with like the scaling, 4K streams, issues with this, and they just haven't done anything with it. The front page still looks like it does. The back end still looks like it always has. And all they've added to it are some sort of bells and whistles. Like, who really cares about, hype trains? And who really cares about, certain types of emote? And who really cares about bits and cheers and all this? All of these things that they added onto it weren't really what creators wanted and haven't really driven the platform forward. Meanwhile, if you look at what YouTube's been doing, even Mixer to a certain degree, I mean, they failed and massively overspent and then ended up shutting up shop. They gambled and lost, essentially. But, at the end of the day, Twitch is lagging behind by some distance. And the ideas they're coming up with, not great. They're not innovating anymore. And, in fact, Amazon, all indications are Amazon are going to squeeze Twitch into oblivion to make more money. They're already forcing ads on people. They're already incentivizing streamers to play more ads on their stream. And spoiler, it starts with the carrot, but it will be the stick. Probably by 2024, to stream on Twitch, you will have to play ads. That's where I think it's going to go. They will mandate you must play ads. And they'll create a little setting so it does it for you, so you don't have to click the buttons, but they will mandate that you have to to play the ads because they're underserving people at the moment. They're advertising partners with people don't want to interrupt the flow of their chat, don't want to interrupt their stream to play an ad. When especially you make fuck all on ads, right? It's all in the subs, it's all in the donations, right? That's where the money's at. And so, yeah, Twitch has just been fallow, hasn't really been pushed, but all that's changing. And now, just massive negative headlines. Because let's also talk about one of the bigger problems on Twitch. Its moderation is garbage. And you're going to go, Richard, how the fuck can you talk about moderation when generally the thing you get pissed off about is, over moderation? Well, it's like, look, okay, here's the thing. If you're going to ban a streamer like Destiny for expressing a position that is certainly out there in the mainstream spectrum of thought and discussion because he gets into a brouhaha on Twitter. If you're gonna take that stand, then you're gonna ban someone for 7 days for purposefully having drunken sex on your platform. You're gonna ban someone for 3 days for literally turning on their camera, turning around, spreading their ass cheeks and giving you the full invite to the fucking captain's table so they can advertise their OnlyFans. If you're gonna turn a blind eye to people advocating for fucking terrorist attacks on your platform, let's be real, your moderation's kind of all over the place. And ever since Emmett Shear said, please hold us accountable and blah, 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 their moderation policies have got worse. And here's the worst part of it. When that Twitch leak happened, I saw their internal documents about how to issue bans. And a fucking moron could follow these. A cretin. It's so easy to understand when a case is beyond borderline when it isn't. It's insane to me that any of these weird bans keep happening. It's probably because they're training a fucking algorithm like everyone else, because the algorithm can never be wrong. You have to fucking fight tooth and nail just to talk to a person at these companies, which is unacceptable when your livelihood's all tied up in it. And by virtue of my livelihood being tied up in it, Twitch's livelihood is being tied up in it. I'm a business partner, and yet they treat creators like absolute shit unless you're in that very, very top 1% and in the top 1% that happens to prescribe to the particular favored political outlook in America right now. Their moderation policy has been a joke, and the type of content that they allow through is like, I can't make head nor tail of it. You can't have an intelligent political conversation on Twitch. You can't. You can do the debate bro bullshit, but if you want to get into a really important topic where certain words are going to have to be used, certain topics are going to have to be brought up, certain unpleasant historical happenings are going to have to be used as a reference point for where we are now in society. You can't do those things on Twitch. However, if I want to take my t-shirt off, get my breasts out and paint them blue, I can do that. If I want to sit in a swimming pool in a swimsuit, and by the way, I'm not a prude, I don't give a fuck, I'm all for that content. The point is you're banning the other stuff. I can sit in a pool and write on a whiteboard that the top donator is my boyfriend for the day. That's allowed. I can sit there clearly cracked out of my fucking mind pulling virtual slots all day. I can do that, can I? With like just the pathetic age gating on Twitch. Mature audiences only. I can do that. But people get fucking banned if they want to talk about 1940s Germany and they put a picture on. Hassan got banned for playing a clip from a Michael Moore documentary with a dead body in it for educational purposes. This picture's fucked up. It's all over the place. Their moderation policies and what type of content they've allowed have essentially created this strange place where they say things like, we would never have an adult section on our website because advertisers wouldn't like it. And yet they do have an adult section because if you're, and again, this isn't like a male or female thing, if you're wearing revealing clothes, I would probably argue there's some like hot buff fucking gay dudes that do gym streams or whatever make a killing on Twitch. It's still sort of, it's walking that line as to what's sexualized and what isn't. And so if you're going to allow that, you may as well go all in, because these people keep pushing the boundaries. They said, listen, you can have an OnlyFans, but you can't advertise an OnlyFans on Twitch. And then everyone finds a way to get around it. You can have somebody fillet a microphone in the ASMR section. We know what them noises are about. ASMR, when I were a kid, it didn't exist when I was a kid, but when I were a kid, ASMR was somebody fucking reading you a bedtime story, essentially. It was just someone whispering. And yeah, that's nice. Reminds me of when Mummy, not Daddy was in jail, but when Mummy would read me a bedtime story. That's nice. That's ASMR, right? It's not somebody fucking doing that on a microphone, is it? That's not ASMR. That's blowjob noises. That's what that is. That's blowjob noises for money. That's what that is, right? So it's ridiculous. They're all over the place. And it creates this weird world where Twitch are always going to fall in to these negative headlines because they won't take a hardline stance on particular things. Like the gambling streams. Just before we talk about the whole slicker and the gambling stuff, you're going to go, Richard, you're sponsored by a betting company. How can you be against gambling? Let's be clear. Let's set the table about what I believe. First of all, I know people can get hooked on sports betting and stuff like that, right? Which is why I only work with betting companies that are licensed, typically licensed to the highest level of accreditation. For example, you get a license, in Malta or Curacao. I'm not talking about, we're licensed in, fucking some Eastern European country you've not heard of or whatever. I'm talking about those licenses. I'm talking about companies that insist on ID and age gating. I've always vetted the companies for that. And I also don't have a problem with sports betting or even gambling ethically whatsoever. I think with sports betting, the risks are clear and explicit because you have these things called odds. And when you place a bet, you see the odds. Yes, you're thinking about the return. Yes, you're thinking you're going to be able to beat the bookmaker. And occasionally, you will. Sometimes, you won't. You have to be dialed in to do it regularly. You really got to know your stuff. That's why I consider it sort of like a game of skill in a way. I don't have an issue with it. Ethically, I always thought America were prudes when it comes to that. Never understood why it was illegal over there. Because, I grew up around, people used to bet on the horses, bet on the dogs on a weekend. I've never had an issue with it. I don't think you'll have ever seen me have a stance. Now, when it's not regulated, obviously got a problem with it. When it's not age-gated, obviously got a problem with it. When it's these fly-by-night companies that you don't know where they're getting even if they do have a license, where's it from, who are they, and they literally just open up and then fuck off like a lemonade stand, obviously I got a problem with it. I'll also say on top of it, I wouldn't ever endorse crypto gambling, which you'll have noticed. I don't begrudge the guys that went on to have that as a sponsor on their content, but a big part of why we stopped doing the show is because I didn't want to endorse it. I didn't feel comfortable with it. I didn't want to be the guy doing the ad reads. I didn't want to take a paycheck. I had fucking crazy psychopaths saying to me, oh, you sold out to DJ. They never paid me a dime. I wouldn't take the money. Right? It's as simple as that. So I've never been paid for any, and again, this is how I have to live my life, right? I've never got paid a single dime for any of the content I did on that channel. Never been paid for the Horseman. Never been paid for that series of BTN, even though that was a sponsor. I never took a penny. You can fucking take that. You can take that to the bank. Because I don't trust crypto and all of that stuff. I've always said it's a scam. I've always said it's bullshit. So it's not for me. It's not something I want to do. And it's just typical that my life is, I get all of the grief as if I've committed the sin, but I get none of the money that I would have got for committing whatever the sin is. And as I said, by the way, those guys don't have an issue with it and have never had an issue with it, and they're very open about what they have issues with. Like, for example, Monty has said, when me and Duncan said we will not take the Saudi money, you understand, like, me and Duncan walked away from it. It was something like a $6 million, it was millions of dollars we turned down to fucking create that company because it was coming from the Savvy Gaming Group, essentially, or the same, would have come through Face It. So we literally walked away from millions. Monty wanted the million, but we took a bet on it, and then I quit the company anyway, because I'm like, one, segueing out of esports, two, didn't want to necessarily endorse the main sponsor. Happy to appear on a show because I'm essentially a recurring guest on The Horseman, but I'm not being paid to be there. I'm doing it in my own time for you guys. So I don't know what more I have to do to not get called a fucking shill or a sellout. I haven't sold out. I've had many, many chances to really sell out. And then when I do take a sponsor, you create false equivalences. So, look, at the end of the day, that's my view on betting. Now, gambling, game's a chance. I don't think I would ever, and I've had these talks, I turned down all the skins casinos when they were going around. I've turned down betting sites that have casinos and coin flip games and fake roulette on there. I've had talks with mainstream gambling sponsors from countries you wouldn't believe they would even want to sponsor me, because why the fuck would they on an English-speaking stream? But I turned it all down, and those are all like six-figure deals. They're all gone, because I think there's something different about pulling a slot, spinning a wheel, flipping a coin. I don't think that's like a game of skill where you're looking at the odds. It doesn't help you engage with the sport. I think those things are more addictive. I don't know the science behind it. I'm not a scientist, but if those types of gambling feel more addictive to me, they look like they would be more addictive, and you don't know the odds. You're not counting the cards. People always tell themselves with the coin toss, like, well, it's been tails 10 times in a row. There's no chance it could be 11 in a row. Well, it costs us a chance. This is the point. Your brain just can't comprehend it. And so I think a lot of those things are a bit more dangerous because they're not being transparent with the odds. It's the same with the loot crates. Another sponsor I turned down. In fact, I was the guy that went to one of the major designers of all of these fake loot crate, skins loot crate opening sites that were sponsoring all of the streamers on Twitch, which Twitch didn't say anything about, didn't have any problems with it. And I wrote an article and put it up on my own website. And it was that long ago. Total Biscuit retweeted it. God bless you, John. God rest your soul. And it blew up. And the guy in there said, we can just go in the back end and set the fucking odds of the drops to what we want. That's why the streamers win when they're streaming. So literal fake advertising. But when you do it, we can put it into something. He literally said, in the industry, they called it rape mode, is what they called it. Because you basically had no chance of winning, and you would keep opening these cases and getting shit out of it. It's all in the article. You can go and fucking read it. So that's what I did. So I turned down all those sponsors as well. But here's the thing. Once it becomes clear a particular type of sponsor is a fucking scam, is bullshit, why is the platform the literal conduit through which it is advertised? Why aren't they clamping down on that sponsor? Why aren't they saying, if you want to stream on Twitch, you can't have the sponsors? They turn a blind eye every time. You were always going to end up with something like this, which is what you've got. And Twitch have acted way too late. And in a way that I don't think people quite comprehend what's actually happened. I'm seeing people saying, they're banning all gambling. It's like, no, they're not. They're definitely not. But anyway, how do we get here? How do we start with this ridiculous chapter in Twitch's history? My old friend, Slicker. You might remember Slicker. Slicker was like a controversial streamer. I never really understood why, but then again, I never really followed any of his work. But I met Slicker through doing what's now the Austin Royale, if that's still going. Back when he used to be called Raj, and it was the Raj Royale, and obviously doing the Trainwrecks podcast, right? And that was when I was trying to make a more concerted effort to get out there and meet streamers and meet people in the Twitch community for a couple of reasons. One, yeah, selfishly, increase my profile a little bit and, interact with different audiences that might not ordinarily find my work, and so they can come and watch my stuff, and, maybe that'll help in some way, because there's a lot of misinformation out there on Twitch, especially with politics and news streams. But also as well, a lot of these streamers, I feel very sorry for them, because there are a lot of unscrupulous journalists in the gaming sphere, in the streaming sphere, and they use them for stories. They're in their orbit. They're not reporting on them responsibly. I mean, remember the drama with Ninja saying he didn't want to play with girls because he wanted to respect his wife. That quote was obtained, I believe, at a party when Ninja was going to the toilet, or had just come out of the toilet, and somebody asked him that. That is some of the most irresponsible shit I've ever heard of. Them having a journalist that they can trust was very. Someone says, "Wasn't that Jason R? You're obviously a new kid." Before the Jason R drama, it happened to Ninja first. It was at the height of Ninja Mania, so he was like a soft target. It was really weird as well, because he did elaborate in a subsequent thing. Like, I don't get it. I mean, it's not what I would have said. It's not what I believe. I think it's a bit like cringe, and I don't think it helps women in gaming spaces when you have like the number one gamer in the world effectively at that time sort of say, well, I wouldn't play with women because my community blow it up and make it a drama. But at the end of the day, the way that quote was obtained was hugely problematic. And the way that story played out, the reporting was done because he was the big name and it was guaranteed clicks. And so, I've worked with a lot of streamers in the past to ensure that, like, if there's an inaccuracy in a Deserto article, we get it corrected. If they feel they want to go on the record and say something about a happening, a drama, an incident, I make sure that they have a channel to talk to reporters at Deserto. If they ever wanted to tell me something in confidence, maybe I can back channel and help them at Twitch or whatever because of my journalistic connections, they know that window's open to them. So I wanted to get out there and see as many streamers as possible, and it was good. And Slicker was someone who, he did talk to me, sort of on occasion behind the scenes. So I was very surprised. He never asked me for any money, never hit me up for any money. But when I saw this story, it was like, man alive, this is the real face of what's going on. Now, this particular case is gambling addiction, but if you understood how much financial malfeasance the average Twitch streamer gets, like, it operates under, like, a lot of these really big streamers, they went years without declaring taxes, and they never thought they'd get big and be noticeable, and then they get an accountant, and then they have to do all the back taxes, and then suddenly all that money they've made because they spent it all, they were pissing it up against the wall every month, they're like, oh shit, actually I'm fucking broke all of a sudden, It's like, they really fucking don't think too much about it. But this was obviously related to the gambling issue that was on Twitch. And so here it is. A Twitch streamer has admitted he lied to fans and fellow influencers when asking for money, raising at least $200,000. I think subsequently we found out it's closer to $300,000 to fund his gambling habit. In a confession video, which was spotted by Kotaku, Abraham Slicker Mohammed said he would tell followers and peers his bank account was locked and needed money to prevent any impact to his credit score, or that his payments from Twitch hadn't been processed. However, he was using this money to gamble on the outcome of Counter-Strike Global Offensive matches. When he ran out of money from his job, as well as his Twitch income, he began borrowing money from other streamers. In his confession video, he promised that he would eventually pay back all of his creditors, which, spoiler, there is zero chance of that happening. And this is a common thing when it comes to people who have like gambling addictions. Certainly, for example, when I was reporting on TSM and their coach, and remember how he said he needed tens of thousands of dollars to pay for his grandmother's medical bills, and the story didn't quite add up, and he couldn't produce a receipt when asked, and all of this stuff. My immediate assumption was this is a gambling problem. This is a classic gambling problem. If you've ever been around people that have, gambling issues, one of the things that will often happen is they'll need money, and they'll need money for the most fantastical reasons. Things that, like, don't really make sense. Like, think about it. My bank account has been shut down, and if I don't get money now, it'll affect my credit score. If you know a little bit about the world, you know that's like grade A bullshit. But if it's coming from someone you sort of know, you're going to be, oh, God, that's horrible. Imagine if that happened to me. I mean, I suppose it's technically possible. And why would they lie? So you give them some money. But, that's like, if you've ever read the Nigerian prince mails, right? They say, we've got, $53 billion in a bank account that we can't get released unless somebody from your country vouches for us. And for this, we'll give you a 10% cut. We just need your bank account, sort code, date of birth, and a photograph of your passport. Listen, obviously, I'm not victim blaming or whatever, but if someone comes to you and asks for money for like a fantastical reason, one that doesn't make sort of sense, you got to pull their card. And you don't have to do it in a bad way. You have to just ask them straight up, like, what's really going on, Because here's the problem. The fact that so many people just sort of in blind faith handed over thousands of dollars to him essentially enabled him the next time he did it, and the next time he did it, and the next time he did it, and also enabled him to get deeper and deeper in debt. Like, I saw a lot of people saying, oh, he must have had so many good friends in the streaming community. I mean, dude, they make money hand over fist, so as a gesture, it's not that big a deal. They also all have dirt on each other, and so it's a little bit of self-preservation. But you're not really being a friend if someone comes to you and just says, like, oh, I need money for this crazy reason. And you go, yeah, no problem, here's a check, fuck off, I want it back. You're not helping people like that. You're essentially paying them to go away, Anyway, this then led to, which is what we'll get to, Pokimane, Mizkif and Devin Nash, they all were rallying together and said we should get rid of the presence of gambling on Twitch because it's the gambling streams that made Slicker do this. Now, this doesn't make sense because Slicker said he was betting on matches and was betting with skins, all of which has been fine. And then he said he did graduate to betting on slots and hardcore stuff. But are we saying all gambling? Because that would be the logical thing, right? But no, what ended up happening was the two big gambling streamers on the platform right now, they literally sit there for 10 hours a day pulling virtual slots and losing money. I don't understand the fascination. People obviously want to watch that stuff. Is Trainwrecks. And listen, me and Train haven't talked for a while. I think last time we did, it was like probably about 2 years ago now. And I would wish he would make his old content again. He keeps talking about bringing back like the Scuff podcast and stuff. I just wish he was doing anything other than pulling slots for 10 hours a day. I think he's better than that. I think he's more entertaining than that. I think the same for XQC. I think XQC, again, not my cup of tea. He knows I feel that way. I'm not a kid. I don't want to watch someone play Overwatch or Fortnite or whatever game he's playing right now. But, he used to throw up, like, genuinely entertaining and funny moments. Like, I could handle clips of XQC, no problem. They were all funny. And so it's like, you guys used to make great content, but here's the problem. The money that they get for doing these streams is off the fucking chain. You're talking millions and millions and millions a month. And obviously they're going to do what's good for them. And so it was a bit strange, I thought, that those two individuals ended up being like targeted as if they were the face of the problem. As I just said, Twitch turned a blind eye to all sorts of dodgy sponsors. And Slicker has told a story I have heard a million fucking times before since 2014. I started gambling as a kid on fucking CSGO Lounge. Then the next thing I knew, I was betting cash on some illegal Chinese website. The next thing I knew, I was getting embroiled in match fixing and illegal activity. The next thing I knew, I was stealing my mum's credit card. I've heard this story loads of times. It was what turned me around on the skins betting websites because I realized we were raising a generation of fucking not only gambling addicts, but emotional cripples as well, because of, what it does to you. So that was when I came around and was like, actually, yeah, these things are bad and they should be banned. And Valve did their part and sent out cease and desist. Twitch just kind of sat back. Super weird. So anyway, Slicker robbed everyone blind. There was a weird thing. I'll show you the Kotaku write-up, actually. Top Twitch streamers like Pokemon Mizkif threaten to strike after $200,000 gambling scam. Talk about Slicker, talk about all of that stuff. Talk about how Hassan gave him money. Slicker's confession video. But then he said, I deserve the punishment. Whatever happens, happens, he said. I don't know what to say to the people I borrowed from. This is the epitome of gambling. I want to say, don't touch it. Well, listen, here's the thing here. He's committed a crime. Not a lawyer. This isn't legal advice, whatever fucking caveats or whatever I need to put there. But he was using a classic confidence trick to raise money from people for improper purposes with zero intention of paying it back. Like, if you go look up all of these, like, confidence tricksters, people who run Ponzi schemes and stuff, that's the methodology they use. So I would be very surprised. Like, if you're one of the people who's owed money, I would even go so far as to say you would be doing him a favor to report it to the police, because I don't really feel there's been many consequences right now. Like, as we'll get to, the people that have felt the worst consequence because of Slicker's gambling addiction are probably train wrecks and XQC. That don't make sense. Anyway, the threat of the strike. I'll just say that all due respect to Mizkif and Devon Nash, although actually I probably shouldn't say all due respect to Mizkif, given recent news that I'm probably not going to get into. But if Pokemon comes out and says she wants something on Twitch, she is going to get something on Twitch. She can leave. She can go anywhere she wants. She is one of the most valuable assets Twitch has left in terms of people in streaming. Largest female streamer, maybe with the exception of Valkyrie, I think, now over at YouTube. It's done a bunch of, like, wholesome mainstream media activations. Certainly subverts any arguments about Twitch being misogynistic and all of the problems. By the way, whatever happened to the investigations into those employees that was going on? Interesting. Hold that thought. Once she said she was, like, against it, I'm pretty sure that, along with all the negative headlines, the stuff in the press, the fact that this has been talked about time and time again, yeah, that would move the dial. I made a point about it, which I won't bring up the tweet, but the way they delivered their statement when Twitch announced they were banning gambling, which I'll show you in a minute, they didn't explain why now. They didn't explain why they'd ignored it before, didn't clarify what protection banning it was going to bring to their community. They didn't talk up about other similar tangential sponsors that they've allowed on the platform. And keep in mind, it is certainly a can of worms when the likes of Activision Blizzard and fucking EA have what European courts are increasingly calling unregulated gambling built into the fucking games, right? So, yeah, probably got a few things we need to iron out. But this is what was really strange, and that was this here. XQC said in his usual block capitals, "We are aware about the Slicker situation and the victims who were scammed out of their hard-earned money. Heartbreaking. Me and Ludwig, everyone's favourite streamer, will be trying our best to get money back to those people. This is about the victims, only them. This will take time. It's close to $300,000. So here's the thing I'll just say. It's not on you, and it sort of looks a bit weird, actually, that you guys are taking it on yourself to pay the money back. Yeah, you'll get some plaudits. Yeah, you'll get some good PR, but I just wouldn't want to be adjacent to this, because it's like sort of a tacit admission of guilt on some level, isn't it? You're saying you feel responsible for the money Slicker scammed. It's all on him, buddy. Like, it might be a nice gesture, but given where you're making your money from, it would have been way better to stay away from this, optics-wise, because the assumption is you're doing it to try and prevent the removal of your major bag. Makes you look guilty when you've got no reason to feel guilty. Then it said here, Trainwrecks obviously got involved and said the real problem were the people blaming slots, blackjack and roulette rather than the individual. He argued sports betting is normalised, but conceded the practice of streamers conducting giveaways by using codes that require viewers to engage in gambling is predatory, as it's highlighting gambling wins while hiding losses on stream. And he's right, and I don't know, I can't speak to enough of Tyler's content to say whether he's done this in the past, but certainly when Tyler wins money, you hear about it, and I've seen Tyler do giveaways for $1 million, and it's like, listen, you have to understand, not only do these guys lose money from time to time, they also have the luxury of essentially playing with house money because they are being paid to play, so a luxury you do not have, and so this needs to be very much front and center when you're watching these gambling streams. There's a broader debate to be had about how much of Twitch is a child's platform. There are a lot of young and impressionable people on Twitch, and we can certainly make an argument that it is the children's TV of that particular Zoom generation. Twitch needs to be better about how it age gates content. Unfortunately, and this would really hurt my numbers, which aren't even great to begin with, but it would certainly hurt some of the other streamers. It probably now needs to be the case where they need to have some form of integration on the website where if a stream says it's 18 plus, because I'll tell you, I've got my stream set to be for mature audiences only. It does fuck all. It doesn't protect you if Twitch want to ban you for doing something mature. Like if I showed I don't know, a horror movie now, a horror movie I could show you with a Twitch watch party, but if I just played a clip of it and blood was there, I'd get banned. It wouldn't matter that you're meant to be 18. They would ban me for gore. That's how it works. It affords me no protection, and it functionally doesn't do anything on the site. You just click to say, yeah, I'm 18. That's it. And you're in. You might not be. I think what they need to do is create a form of integration on your account where if you want to watch mature audience streams, you have to have ID associated with the account. You have to have proof of age. It has to be verified. And you have to be logged into that account to watch. That's what they need to do, unfortunately. It's long overdue. It would also clear up some of the child predator fuckery that goes on this hell site, which again we'll talk about in a bit, because when I said it's been a crazy week for Twitch, I wasn't lying. It turned out that Twitch, now suitably motivated, they made a statement saying that they were going to ban gambling. But what does that mean? What gambling? Who's going to be affected? It made international news. It's that much of a big deal. And yes, I do agree, by the way, to the people in the chat. All social media should be 18 plus. I should never have to read a 15-year-old's opinion about anything. In fact, I consider it a crime, a psychic crime against my mind, that I have to read anything a teenager thinks on the internet. I couldn't give a fuck. You don't know a single solitary thing about life except what it is to be a teenager. That's it. You can't tell me shit. I shouldn't have to read your political thoughts or anything else. It's me. I'm the victim in that equation. 18 plus only. Twitch to ban users from streaming unlicensed gambling content. A move by Amazon-owned site apparently prompted by revelations a popular streamer scammed fellow users. Twitch, the Amazon-owned streaming site, will ban users from posting videos of themselves playing slots, roulette, or dice games on unlicensed gambling sites. The statement said, gambling content on Twitch has been a big topic of discussion in the community. I love how they say it like, oh, it just popped up. People have been talking about the gambling streams for literal years. They were talking about the gambling streams back in the fucking Phantom Lord days, which, by the way, you remember, that was just here today, gone tomorrow, no statement, no change. One of the biggest fucking stories related to streamer culture of all time. And yes, yours truly did break it. What's he ever done? Gambling content on Twitch has been a big topic of discussion in the community and something we've been actively reviewing since our last policy update in this area. Today, we want to update you on our plans. While we prohibit sharing links or referral codes to all sites that include slots, roulette or dice games, we've seen some people circumvent those rules and expose our community to potential harm. By the circumvention of the rules, I think that's what Train was talking about. It was like, you don't have a referral code to go here, but you can enter a giveaway And the giveaway prize is this and a referral code, So, anyway, we'll be making a policy update on the 18th of October to prohibit streaming of gambling sites that include slots, roulette, or dice games that aren't licensed either in the US or other jurisdictions that provide sufficient consumer protection. The ban does not cover betting on sports or poker, but it will act to limit the spread of gambling content on the streaming site, where users have long questioned the links between streamers and gambling sites they promote. So, just on that point, it's classic Twitch. What does any of that mean? When they say that aren't licensed, licensed where? What type of license? Are these slots? I don't think the ones that Train and XQC are endorsing are unlicensed. Is that the problem? I don't know. And so the question becomes, will this even stop those guys from having a sponsorship to begin with? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Tell me, what's the metric, Twitch? How much unlicensed slots were being broadcast on your platform? You should know. There's a section for it. You created it. You've got the data. Tell us. But they won't. Of course they won't. Because they want to be able to kind of walk away from this and say, not our fault. It could have intervened at any time. Anyway, the statement says, right, slots, roulette, or dice games that aren't licensed either in the US or other jurisdictions that provide sufficient consumer protection. What are those jurisdictions, guys? That's the question. And who decides that? Who decides what jurisdiction has a sufficient consumer protection? Who's in charge of deciding that? Is it Twitch? Are you going to use a third party? Is there a gambling ombudsman that you go to? This statement is thin as fuck. It's thin as fuck. It doesn't really mean anything. And then this other statement here that I don't know if Guardian's paraphrasing, but they will act to limit the spread of gambling content on the streaming site. What does that mean? Like, if you're creating a rule, and if you adhere to the rule, it's fine. You're saying it's fine. You're still going to allow it. Why would you limit it? In what way will it be limited? And what that sounds to me is, once again, we're going to create this vague fucking gray area so the big guys can get away with it and Twitch can say, well, look, it's all above board, and other people can't, or anyone they don't like, anybody they have a problem with. The only reason to keep rules vague is because you want to bend them. That's how that works. And then the article goes on to bring up FaZe. Weird that as well, wasn't it? How Twitch skated on all of the fucking casinos where people were running casinos and didn't disclose ownership and had access to the back end and didn't operate provably fair systems. Weird, isn't it? Weird how Twitch never brought up in any of that. Just got to walk away from it all. So, gambling is banned. Streamers then got upset about that. In terms of the optics of the Twitch community and their top-end streamers, man alive, everybody chose this time to just reveal that they were a piece of shit. XQC said Pokemon was only doing it for clout and cited an instance that, yeah, it's sort of a good point. He said, I'm not picking a bone with Pokey because, of course, nobody wants to pick a bone with any of the top streamers if you yourself are a top streamer. Feuds are only fun if you can get content out of them. If you're risking getting deplatformed for having one, yeah, whatever. It's all fine. It's all great. Nothing but love, right? I was also surprised seeing her in her free time watch gambling from her close friend, which I don't know who he's referring to, but I'm sure people have put clips on live stream fail, and there she is, and she's watching a gambling stream, and she's fine with it, and doesn't say anything about it. And of course, because we all fucking pick and choose our battles, and we're all biased as fuck. She went so hard at the big two gamblers or whatever, while still actively watching a close friend do it, and never mentioned her name in any conversation about gambling ever. I think that's genuinely a problem. I think it's a bad look, that's all. I don't know what to tell you about it. So, anyway, meltdowns start happening. For some reason, all of the Twitch streamers just turned on each other. I don't even know if it's just the Slicker thing that lit the torch paper, but man, it just went fucking crazy. People were leaking DMs. Ice Poseidon came out, whoever the fuck he's been, and leaked some DMs. There was like fucking racist DMs, homophobic DMs. Basically, streamers, they're not original thinkers a lot of the time. They just do what's popular, and it seems that what is popular right now is ratting out everyone else. Because here's what I don't get. They all go to these things with each other, and they all enable each other, and they all pretend to like each other. And they all talk to each other privately and pretend they're friends. Now, just, again, I don't want to, like, ruin the illusion, but we're all old enough around these parts to know what's going on, right? They're not friends. Streamers aren't friends with each other. They don't have friends. They have potential collabs. That's how they think. That's how they all think. Their friendships are so tenuous. It's all predicated on what they can get out of it in a moment. But they go to these events with each other, and they do meetups, and they do live streams, and they all enable each other. They all get drunk, and they all go to parties. And again, these people are living like Z-list celebrities, all getting hopped up on fucking coke and goofballs and fucking going to events and getting unbelievably drunk and having very inappropriate behaviors and just all doing it, and they're all living like it's fucking Hollywood for morons, and they all know it, and they all know they're doing it, and they all enable each other and support each other while they're doing it. But they ain't doing it without keeping receipts. And they've all got receipts on each other. And they've all got dirt on each other. Because they're all doing dirty things. Because they're not, like, by and large, they're just not good people. Here's the thing. I can respect being fake with your audience a lot more than I can respect being fake with people you meet in real life. People who are your colleagues, people you work with. I don't give a fuck about any of it, honestly. Like, being a popular streamer is like, it is a popularity contest. You are a child's entertainer. So you have to come out and you have to say to your audience, yeah, I love you. I love the community we've built. God, it's such a great community. I love all the community. You have to play the video game, pretend you're frightened. You have to be there 8 hours every day, questioning your sanity and thinking, is this any better than working a cubicle job? Oh yeah, of course it is, because of the money. And you do it, and you just live the fucking lie, and you live the bullshit, and eventually you have fuck you money in the bank. That's the thought process. Fuck you money in the bank you've paid taxes on, so you don't get stung on that, and then you go and do something else. And you've got a real short window to get it done, because the streamers who were at the top in 2010 weren't the streamers who were at the top by 2013. The streamers who were at the top of 2013 weren't around by fucking 2018, and the streamers who were the top dogs in 2018 have either all been deplatformed, locked up, or fell off. You're washed. L plus ratio, and this is the game. This is how it lasts, right? Being fake to an audience to make fucking money is fine. It's dishonest. It's not what I do, but it's fine. It's the game. Everyone you've ever liked is a diva piece of shit putting on a fucking fake face for the cameras. I mean, I'm talking all the superstars, essentially. They're very few and far between, the ones who are actually genuine. The ones who you actually get a glimpse into who they really are in any given moment. That's just how it is. But that's fine. That's how you make money. Being fake with each other is fucking crazy. It's like so wild. You don't have to do it. You don't have to pretend to like a guy because he consistently gets 10,000 more live viewers than you. You don't have to go to these like after parties and fucking be there and pretend we're all pals drinking. You don't have to do collabs and pretend your relationship is anything deeper than what it is. You know, and they make no like efforts to get to genuinely know each other. Because they don't really care. It's like, you are somebody I can use at some point in the future. It is fake. It is phony. That is a huge part of streaming culture. And now that a few people have started dishing dirt on each other, Slicker was stealing money, everybody wants in on it. Because this is the most relevant Slicker's been in ages, right? And everybody wants to fucking get a piece of it. And they think, by the way, this like makes them good guys. They're coming out and saying, yeah, that person, there was a sexual assault. And you go in, and you knew. You didn't do anything. You didn't say anything. Well, that's not a good look for you. And then the accusers of the other, who's saying that person definitely did something bad, turns out someone then comes out and goes, yeah, well, you abused me. And you just sat watching it all. You're like, all of these people are fucking sick. It's so fucking crazy. Imagine trying to one-up each other with topics like this. The look that this creates, like, oh my word. I'll bring up the big one. I'm not going to go into each one, Fuck that. Destiny's done that. He can have that. I don't even want to wade into it. Within moments of like, oh, we should get rid of gambling and it's bad. Allegations towards Mizkif, who was front and center on that, being lauded as like a good guy. This comes out. He was accused of helping cover up a sexual assault, and then went on a stream and talked. There was a clip pulled up, and he, in his own words, seemed to impugn his own reputation. This report is just crazy. So anyway, as if Twitch wasn't in the news enough already, the platform is again making new headlines following yesterday's successful campaign by top broadcasters to ban gambling from the live streaming service. However, instead of money problems, we're dealing with issues of sexual assault and harassment, as personalities like Maya and Mizkif have been accused of encouraging the covering up of an abuse victim's traumatic experience. Now Mizkif is facing the repercussions. Adriana Lee is a just chatting streamer who occasionally plays Minecraft and Valorant, a chill content creator. Adriana Lee came forward in June 2021 with a Twitlonger post detailing a troubling experience she said she had with another gaming broadcaster during a 2020 birthday party. While allegedly drunk, she recounted an incident in which this other content creator followed her around, tried to and allegedly did kiss her, touched her neck and chest multiple times to check her pulse after she passed out in one of the rooms. Great stuff. And by the way, listen, I say this all the time. You would have to be out of your fucking minds. Like, you would have to be out of your mind if you're just like a regular streamer, a regular person, to go to any of these fucking after parties at the moment. When it happened to Evo, I was like, you know what? Like, we gotta have that fucking conversation at some point. Like, the fact that there was someone going around, like, at Evo, spiking everyone's drinks, and somebody literally tried to pick up a female colleague I know, and, like, just carry her off to a room, thinking she'd got one of the spiked drinks. Fucking mental. But that's where we're at. Though Adriana Lee clarified in the initial post that she is now saying she was somewhat coerced, that the streamer did not rape or assault her. She noted his actions did not make her feel comfortable. The creator made a Twitlonger post of his own not long afterward, apologising for making her feel uncomfortable and being drunk, but nothing came of it. More recently, the allegations resurfaced. Now, Adriana Lee has taken to Twitch and Twitter to elaborate on the situation, saying that the original Twitlonger post she made was a diluted version of the story that was proofread by Maya and others, and then she went live, did a 2-hour live stream, and said Maya and Mizkif had pressured her, saying something ASAP, so the two didn't have to kick that content creator out of the house. But in pressuring her to speak prematurely and requiring approval of her tweets before they went live, Adriana Lee said Maya and Mizkif helped downplay the accusations by having her paint that content creator in a more favourable light. So essentially, what you got going on here is somebody said, hey, like, I want to go public with these allegations of this terrible thing that happened to me. I know you know this individual. Can you sort of give me some guidance as to how to say it? And they went, yeah, definitely. We'll help you write it. Take that line out. That sounds a bit bad. Take that bit out there. Take that bit out there. And then I'll change that word. And then do this. And yeah, put that out. That'll be okay. And obviously, by the way, if you look at the time frame when all these bits and pieces were coming out, all these allegations, this was like at the height of like, there was fucking an allegation every hour because there's just so many creeps in the esports, gaming, and streaming industries. Just so many entitled, greasy, grubby guys. It probably would have got lost in the noise, but also because of just how humans are, the most salacious and sensational are going to be the ones that get focused. That's not fair on victims. Just is the reality when you get all these mass movements. It's why when people dilute it with, you know, like as I've said many times before, like the Aziz Ansari Me Too allegation in that magazine, you're actually hurting genuine victims of sexual assault because people are just fickle and you're sucking all the oxygen out the room that needs to be left for actual victims. Anyway, it's just a fucking mess. And right now, even as I'm like recording this, just allegations after allegations. You did this. You did that. You're doing this. You did that. How can you talk about that when you did this to me? Boom. And it's just, guys, I don't know what's been going on within streaming culture, but I'll just say it again. Twitch has to take a large fucking part of the blame. A lot of these things are happening at after parties and meetups, which are all sanctioned, at Twitch cons. Put it this way, there's no like, I don't know what they would be called, but you know, like on a movie set, right? On a movie set, if you do a sex scene, there's a person there that makes sure everyone's comfortable and that, no improper contacts made and all of this stuff. There are no fucking protection and safety representatives that seem to be there to stop people putting themselves in these horrible situations, stopping these fucking horrible people from creating environments where they can enact their predatory practices. And no one at Twitch seems to check up on this stuff. I put it this way, one of my first priorities if I was running a platform, if content creators were coming out and saying, hey, I went to this meetup, I went to this party, all these streamers were there at Twitch, I believe I was sexually assaulted, I'm conducting my own investigation. I'm not letting two fucking people in a streaming house coerce that person into writing a more favorable account of what happened. I'd want to know what's going on. They never do that. They never fucking do that. There's no fucking safety protocols whatsoever because Twitch just doesn't want to know. It's like, yes, we're giving you all this money, we're giving you all this status, we're giving you all these platforms, we're giving you alcohol, we're allowing you to come to these meetups. If anyone does anything bad, we out of here. We out of here. Streaming culture right now just looks like fucking absolute toxic ass. And it just makes me sick. It makes me sick. I'll keep using Steven as an example. We actually reconnected recently. We had a little quick conversation, which will probably be a preamble. I'm probably going to go on his stream at some point when all this drama's done and he's got nothing else to fill the content with. I'll use Steven as an example because his ban is outrageous. I thought his when he got unpartnered, I thought that was outrageous, frankly, because I had heard other political streamers say far worse things and with potentially provable knock-on effects. For example, if you say, oh, people should go and attack ICE detention centres, and then within a week, somebody has been shot attacking an ICE detention centre, people should probably look at that, right? You know what I mean? But nobody did. Nobody cared. So there's these unbelievable inconsistencies and double standards on this platform. It makes me so fucking sad. But anyway, like, if Steven can get banned for things he says on Twitter, then no joke now. All the allegations that have been made, Twitch needs to set up a task force. They need to set up a group of people with outside counsel, like, to come in and look at all of this shit, because this is fucking mental. This is like a layer cake of all different types of abuse and fucking scams and bullshit. So a lot of it's been going on at Twitch events. A lot of it, it's like, come on, enough's enough. Anyway, let me show you one thing that kind of went untalked about. I'm not going to show this on stream, but here's what I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you the details. Back in July, a streamer said that there was a literal criminal investigation, criminal complaints for multiple rapes had been made against somebody that was working at Twitch. It's with the police. It's being investigated. Somebody went on Twitter and said they haven't even suspended this guy yet. I don't know. It just, that feels like a no-brainer. And then, of course, because it's Twitch, obviously, this came out the same week, right? You've got predators, perverts, weirdos, coercers, scam artists, gambling addicts, right? You've got all that going on. And then Cecilia D'Anastasio, I think I got it wrong. I said she was at fucking Forbes. Bloomberg is where she's at. My bad. She did a story very similar to work I've done, which was saying they analyze thousands of accounts that systematically find and follow children and preteens when they log on, start streaming on their phones, and up to 279,000 kids were targeted. Now, when I did my report in 2019 about this, I had no idea of that the scale was that big. It didn't seem that it could be. But here's what I'll tell you. Because you can see here, reports of child predation, increased 73% over the pandemic and 1,125%. Or predation, I should say, sorry, 1,125% on Twitch. Twitch says that's due to growth and improved detection methods, but kids' live streams can attract hundreds of viewers and thousands of views on archived videos. This article has a heavy content one at the top, which I'll repeat here. The content of the article includes mentions of child predation and online abuse, and maybe disturbing to some readers. So again, can't bring it up on Twitch because Twitch isn't the fucking adult platform. You can have child predators on your platform, but I can't talk about a report about those child predators on your platform. That sums up Twitch in a nutshell, really. That's all you need to know about Twitch and how silly it is. When I did the report into this in 2019, Richard Lewis, is Twitch doing enough to protect children on its platform? No, is the answer. I went through it all and I went and did a tweet about Twitch direct to them. I actually asked them publicly, because I thought if I publicly called them out about this, I would get a statement. Now, I already asked them, like, through the normal press channels about it. What were they going to do? What were they going to change? They didn't reply. They refused to give me a statement. I publicly tweeted at them. June 2019. They never got back to me. They have never made any statement about this. They didn't make any statement to Cecilia as well. In fact, I believe, somewhat cynically, I think they made announcements about other news story, including bringing forward the gambling ban, because I'm guessing they knew that this was in the pipeline at that time. Also, the 70-30 revenue split and some big announcements they've made. I think they've become that cynical and hard-nosed a company, honestly. Just so you know here, what was going on was when you go on Twitch, a lot of kids don't know how to set up their Twitch streams properly, and so they go default segment when they turn on their phones, and all the fucking pedos know this. And they fucking go and they get there, and then they're asking them to do, you know, fucking handstands and Fortnite dances and whatever other sick shit comes into their head. There was one guy that was an actual streamer, like, not a big name streamer, but he had like a few hundred followers, like, you know, getting up there, and used to stream gaming streams, and he was doing this on his main account in his fucking regular time, and then he would be off like streaming fucking Euro Truck Simulator or whatever his fucking game of choice was. And I showed this, like, it was public. I showed it to Twitch. That guy still had an account months after that report came out. You know, what the fuck can I do about that? Anyway, more bad news over at Twitch, because one of the other things is it's highly suspected, in my opinion, that they can't really afford to run the website as it stands. I don't know if you've noticed, in Korea, for example, you can't even get 1080p anymore because the server costs are too high to justify it. Twitch, to me, just feels like it is going backwards and not forwards. I've talked a lot because I'm pretty transparent with my money, and hell, we were all transparent when we got leaked. 1811 here. At the end of the day, like, top partners on Twitch get a 70-30 revenue split on the subs. 70% of them, 30% of Twitch. Everyone else gets 50-50. That's how it's always been. What's crazy is, as well, back in the day, I knew somebody at Twitch who said, you know, I can just turn on 70-30 for you if you want. I could just put you on that. I think you had enough value with the platform, even though you're not like a big streamer. This is back in like the trash talk days. And I went, I can't justify that. I said, like, I can't justify being a 70-30 guy. Like, I'm not a 70-30 guy. I'm very much a 50-50 guy. But I wish I'd fucking got him now. I wish I'd done that. Anyway, whatever. I have to understand, people really like me at Twitch. Back when Twitch was a real community startup project, you know. I was in one of their end of year sponsorship decks one year as an example of, you know, interesting alternate news and radio content. I can't remember what year it was, but anyway, whatever. So this is a letter from Twitch President Dan Clancy on subscription revenue shares. Hello, Twitch community. I'm Dan Clancy, President of Twitch, and responsible for the day-to-day operations of the service. FYI, this blog is targeted to streamers, but everyone is, of course, welcome to read along with us. All right. Cheers, mate. Glad. This morning, we reached out to a subset of streamers about some upcoming changes to their agreement terms. This blog gives us an opportunity to be clear with all streamers on Twitch about those changes and talk more broadly about our strategy to help streamers make more money on our service. Streamers are and always will be the foundation of our global community. It's your passion, hard work and creativity that make Twitch the one-of-a-kind place it is. To bring it back around more directly to this blog's topic, we can't run this service unless you make money. That's not a drawback, it's by design. This innate partnership is why we support all streamers' careers and ambitions like they're our own. Before we talk about what's happening next, we need to share some information for context. For subscriptions, we use a baseline revenue share of 50-50 on the net revenue from those earnings. The vast majority of Twitch streamers have these terms in their agreement. However, for some time, we did offer standard agreements with premium subscription terms to select streamers as they grew larger. This isn't something we've talked about publicly, but such deals are common knowledge within the streamer community. Historically, we didn't have a consistent framework to determine who would receive these deals and when. Over a year ago, we made the decision to begin to stop offering these premium agreements to new streamers not already on these terms. This is when they talk about all those like legacy contracts and all the sick things. Like a lot of people assumed the reason Destiny had got away with some stuff that maybe he could have been suspended for in the past is because he was on these deals. These types of contract, with that increased like 70-30%, it came with a bunch of caveats, like not being ever able to stream on other platforms, like even if Twitch was down and stuff like this. The agreements were a lot more fleshed out than just what you click on when you first get like fucking partnership status or whatever. It wouldn't necessarily work for everyone. And also as well, retainers. A lot of people in the past used to get paid like flat rate retainers. You didn't just get the financial incentive. You got paid money from Twitch to stream on Twitch. And again, with the finances all changing, when Mixer and entities like this came in and were throwing crazy contracts around, Twitch basically, especially with Amazon Primes and, the Prime subs being something that you could get, being an extra incentive to stay on Twitch, they were like sort of holding the line and saying, we're not going to offer any of these big contracts anymore. If somebody gets a massive deal on YouTube, massive deal on Facebook, massive deal on Mixer, massive deal wherever the fuck, they can go, they can take it. We believe they'll be back to Twitch. That's literally what they said. It used to be back in the day when Twitch wanted to grow, there were a lot of streamers that got paid like a flat rate just to even be on the platform to begin with. You had to hit so many hours of streaming, but streamers wanted to do that anyway because that's how you get your paper. As we reflected on how we handled these premium deals, we realized a few problems. First, we had not been transparent about the existence of such deals. Don't really think that's necessarily a problem. Might be. Would depend on what those streamers were doing, what they were saying. Like, for example, if they were, like, actively denigrating another streaming platform and were in a contract with Twitch, yeah, we probably do need to know that. Second, we were not consistent in qualification criteria, and they generally went to larger streamers. Finally, we don't believe it's right for those on standard contracts to have varied revenue shares based on the size of the streamer. In an ideal world, all streamers would be on the same set of terms regardless of size. However, instituting that policy would have a negative impact on the streamers currently on these terms, many of whom were instrumental in helping us build the Twitch we know today. These streamers have come to depend on the additional revenue split to maintain their standard of living. Won't you think of their standard of living? For these streamers still on these premium deals, we're adjusting the deal so that they retain their 70-30 revenue share split for the first $100,000 earned through subscription revenue. Then revenue above $100,000 will be split at the standard 50-50 share split. We're announcing this change now, but it won't go into effect until after June 2023. After that point, streamers will only be affected once their existing contract is up for renewal. All streamers with these terms have already received this information and more via email, and we will make sure to get them exact updates and timelines as we get closer to June 1st. For approximately 90% of streamers on standard agreements with premium subscription terms, this change will not affect them at their current revenue. For those who are affected, we want to make sure the impact was minimal, not just by giving them ample time before the deal goes into effect, but also by offering an alternative way to earn revenue. Our recent bump in ads revenue share at 55% as part of the ads incentive program is a great way for these larger streamers to make up most, if not all, of that revenue, if they want to run ads. Big if, right? Essentially, if you read between the lines on this, what they've done there is having it for the first 100k and then having 50-50 after, that means you lose the biggest chunk. If you're one of the guys who were on 70-30, you were already making 100k easily. Like, these people are making 100k, like, that's a week, being generous. If they did it the inverse, after 100k, you can have your 70-30 back, then yeah, you know, that creates a lot of incentives around something. But they're not doing it like that. They're doing it the other way. And they brought this in. That's a very significant amount of money for Twitch to be saving every month, every year. Then you go down and you go, hey, and we put ad revenue up to 55%. So just play ads and you'll make all that money back. What did I tell you? Again, right again. When he's right, he's right. Twitch has got problems. They're underserving their ads. Advertisers are getting pissed off. This is going to be like when Facebook were fudging the numbers on all those digital services. Because you know how Facebook used to fudge their numbers? You'll like this if you don't know the story. But I'm a digital media twat and former media student. So I do. You can go look it up though. There was lawsuits and everything about it. Facebook used to count, no shit, if you scrolled down a Facebook page, you know how it's all like that, it just goes on forever and ever. If you scrolled past a piece of content in the feed, that was an impression, that was a view. And then they would collate, and keep in mind, by the way, they could just put that into people's feeds at will. Then they would take those numbers and go to advertisers. Look at all of these impressions. We're actually the biggest platform right now for digital media. And people were going, well, fucking hell, Facebook would never lie to us. And so they were spending millions and millions on advertising. And then the fucking reality was kicking in. No cunts actually looking at our shit. What's going on? Did Facebook tell lies? Of course they did. That motherfucking Facebook. So everyone got fucking skinned. And I'ma tell you, it's all going to end the same way. I guarantee it. They're pushing ads so much. Imagine being a tournament operator and having to fight tooth and nail to not have the games interrupted by Amazon just pushing ads out in the middle of a fucking thing. And by the way, if you're a CS fan, used to happen all the time in pistol rounds, didn't it? How many pistol rounds have you missed this year because of fucking Twitch ads? There's a reason they're doing this, and the reason is they gotta serve more views to the advertisers, because the advertisers are either unsatisfied and not coming back, or they're just not making enough money to sustain the platform, so they want more and more views so they can charge more and more from the advertisers. They're the only two reasons why you would do it this way, because the ads are becoming intrusive. They're not like early internet, like, hey, smash this iPhone. You want an iPhone. Here's another iPhone. Meh, 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 fucking screamers. Here's the crazy frog ringtone. It was a nightmare if you didn't have ad block, like in fucking the year 2000. It's not that bad, but they are just pushing ads into your fucking face now. Like every time you fire up a stream, and they've all gone round and got past the fucking ad block thing. Like, just insane. Just to point out how bad this is and how this could create a balance shift. This is from 2021. This is my friend Fwiz. Saw some discussions on this yesterday. YouTube subscriptions, product, channel memberships, super chat, super VOD. The rev share is 70-30 for all creators on the platform. Everyone who went to YouTube, right? Yeah, you lose the Twitch Primes. Yeah, you lose your subs in the community you built. But if they all follow you on there, there's actually even a chance you could be making more money, because it's 70-30 for everyone on everything. And it's been that way pretty much since the inception of the live streaming. And with this news that came out, obviously, YouTube, a few of the YouTube people and a few of the industry people were like, listen, 70-30's on the table for anyone that wants to like go over and stream on YouTube right now. I mean, put it this way, we've already seen a pretty decent-sized exodus of people from Twitch to YouTube. YouTube live streaming's legit now. I think I saw a clip of Destiny saying that actually, like, being deplatformed on Twitch hadn't financially hurt him at all, but I don't know if that's true. At the end of the day, I feel like it's come a long way, the live streaming. It was basically where you went to sort of die career-wise. YouTube live streaming back in the day, if you weren't on Twitch, you weren't really shit. You were like just an exile. But now I think it's legit. They got some big fucking names and everything else. So, and listen, YouTube's monetization process on their videos are ridiculous, but they are way more lenient as a live streaming platform. There would be no issue, for example, when we showing that Cecilia article there and having some of the quotes involved. There'd be no issue with using certain words over on YouTube. You're not going to get banned. You're not going to have your livelihood taken away. It's crazy to think that their live streaming moderation is better, whereas Twitch VOD moderation is non-existent. They just don't moderate your VODs. If you get away with it, whatever it was, it can live on the VOD indefinitely. So it's wild. And then just to wrap up, on top of all of this, imagine announcing this after the week you've just had on Twitch. This is ESI, Esports Insider. DoorDash announces $35,000 restaurant-themed multiverse tournament. The Battle of the Brands, presented by fucking DoorDash. How this is going to work, right? Through DoorDash, all these companies, including FaZe's own sandwich, you can taste the corruption, right? FaZe's own sandwich is going to be part of this. What they're going to do is they're going to put 10 Twitch streamers against each other, representing their brands of choice. And it's going to be hosted by my boy, Chris Puckett, who, if you see this stream, it's aight. It's aight. You can do what you want, brother. I don't give a fuck. It's fine. Never calling you out. Do what you want. Get that bread. Get that cheddar. But yeah, so they're doing this huge activation for all these fast food brands at this time. Like, just imagine it. Hey, brands, want to be adjacent to this fucking dumpster fire right now? Actually, not too sure. I hope they vetted everyone. I hope they're all the cleanest, meanest streamers of all time. Because, man alive, this could get interesting. Like, if one of those, I don't know who the 10 streamers are, but if one of them was embroiled in any of this other shit that was going on, can you fucking imagine? Yes, unfortunately, you have hurt our corporate brand. Like, what was that streamer that fucking, he was meant to be, I can't even remember his name. Jericho, I think it was. He was meant to be doing a promotion for McDonald's, and he referenced the fucking Red Robin or someone, I think. Like, I can't quite remember, but like, he fucked up the whole deal. Oh, I love it. They're so sensitive about this stuff, brands. Watch this space. Just a fucking recipe for disaster. So yeah, there you go. Twitch is in a fucking mess right now. Has been for a while. And they've only got themselves to blame. I don't think Twitch are responsible for the behavior of individuals. However, I do feel that a lot of people have known about these individuals, and therefore Twitch must have known. I certainly think Twitch is responsible for not vetting like the sponsors of their business partners on their platform. And certainly I think their response to the gambling streams needed to be more data-driven, more specific in its language, and clearer. But we know why it isn't. So those are my thoughts.
He's the man to do the damage. Oh! As he looks for another headshot!